Good afternoon. My name is Brian Wheeler, Director of Communications for the City of Charlottesville. We've scheduled this brief press conference to allow our local media partners to participate in an exciting announcement about a new member of our team. It's my pleasure to introduce our acting city manager, Mr. John Blair, who will make some brief remarks and introduce our new fire chief. After their comments, we will take questions from the credentialed media on this webinar. Mr. Blair?
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. I would like to start by saying that today is a privilege for me. It is always an exciting and happy day for Charlottesville when we add a new member to our team. And I think today we are adding a true asset for our city and our community. Dr. Hezadine Smith will be serving as the City of Charlottesville's fire chief starting on December 1st. And while I want him to introduce himself to the media, I just want to highlight a couple of points about Dr. Smith and his resume. It is worth noting that Dr. Smith has over 30 years of experience in the fire service and that he has an extensive array of experience from operations to budgeting to IT to EMS operations as well. And I think it is also worth noting that he has impeccable education credentials, including a doctorate in organizational management. And so it is my pleasure and my privilege to introduce to the local media, Dr. Hezadine Smith as Charlottesville's new fire chief.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm grateful to be afforded the opportunity to join the leadership team in the great city of Charlottesville. I want to acknowledge and thank everyone who was involved and also those who hosted me during the selection process. I want to say a special thank you to those who so graciously met with me and shared their vision and stories of the community spirit about Charlottesville. These individuals helped me decide to join Charlottesville Fire Department. At this time, I'd also like to extend a special thanks to Interim Fire Chief Emily Felicia for the leadership that she has given and will continue to provide as a member of my team. In looking forward to start my role on December 1st, it will be a very special day for my family and I, because I'll join an organization that embodies itself as a family with integrity, respect, and excellence. To the men and women of the Charlottesville Fire Department, I'm humbled to be invited to be part of your family in your 164th year as a fire department, and also this historic community. One of my core beliefs is collaboration. I envision an organization where each of us, from city staff, senior leadership, the community, and the men and women in the department, believe your idea can help it succeed. Given the current challenges facing our nation, state, and city, I look forward to utilizing my skills, my knowledge of emergency services, leadership, and management skills to help move our city forward. I'm committed to responsible leadership through partnership and engagement of external and internal stakeholders, ensuring further growth of the Charlottesville Fire Department. One of my objectives is to foster an environment where all members of our department feel a sense of belonging and an appreciation for their contributions. I look forward to our journey together as a family. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith and Mr. Blair. We've got 5 local journalists on the call right now, and if any of them would like to ask a question, just click the raise hand icon in the Zoom webinar, and we should have plenty of time for you to ask a question and a follow-up, and then I'll just circle around one more time after that. First up, Dr. Smith, we have Nolan Stout with the Daily Progress.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, Dr. Smith. I guess my first question would be, you mentioned that you heard stories from people when you were interviewing for this job that made you want to take it and come to this city. What were some of the things that you heard that really stood out to you?
I think that the family environment that Charlottesville brings in terms of the close-knit organization, and not only the organization, the community as a whole. and understanding that there's opportunities for further growth and collaboration, not only within the fire department, but also with our external stakeholders and our mutual aid partners as well.
And then you also mentioned the challenges that are facing nationally, locally, state level. What are some of those that come to the forefront of your mind?
Well, you know, actually, I tell you, the fire service and emergency services profession is one that is unique to us. And one of the most important things I believe is important is the firefighters' mental health and our safety. Those are some opportunities there that we need to ensure that we provide the most important and the most available and comprehensive mental health and safety initiatives for our firefighters and also staffing as well.
Great. Next, we'll go to Desiree Montilla from CBS 19. Desiree, can you hear us?
Hi, yeah, can you hear me now?
We can.
Perfect. Hi, Dr. Smith. So a story that I've been following, for the past several months here in Charlottesville is a big gap in service. And we've recently heard about some federal grants that will be coming to the city of Charlottesville. I mean, when you're starting in your position on December 1st, what do you plan to do to address these service gaps and to provide relief to those working overtime hours in the fire department?
Great question. Thanks for asking. So as an accredited ISO 1 Class 1 fire department, I think together we must demonstrate our commitment to the highest level of public service and also emergency response preparedness. In doing so, staffing, pay, training, and equipment are the cornerstone to ensure long-term sustainability. The fire service model is really evolving, I must say, and it's important, it's also important to realize that appropriate staffing, funding, and organization framework must be in place to support the long-term sustainability of the fire department. It's noted that we must plan accordingly. And when we talk about the SAFER grant that we've recently agreed to accept, we're very blessed to have the federal government provide that funding for the SAFER grant. In terms of the grant is funded typically for 100% for the first year, and then it usually tapers off after that for several years. However, the city of Charlottesville was fortunate to get 100% funding for all 3 years. Thus, it's very imperative that we manage the overtime budget and identify opportunities to solidify our staffing model. So we'll plan accordingly to manage overtime and also to, which has been a challenge for the team. And my responsibility as the fire chief really is to advocate, advise city leadership of our needs, not our wants, as it relates to capital expenditures, additional staffing, and unexpected exigencies. I'm not the final decision maker, however, but I will ensure that the information is presented to the city manager and leadership along with recommended solutions. So thank you for your question.
Of course. And I do have a follow-up to that too. I mean, you talked about fostering an environment that feels a sense of belonging too. How do you plan to do that between city officials and the fire department?
Yeah, I think collaboration is the key. And collaboration for me, as I indicated earlier, is the cornerstone of my leadership philosophy. But being a transformational leader really embodies the fact that idealistic and the idealism and consistency in terms of communication across all borders, if you may, in terms of having a good communication strategy, in terms of talking with everyone and ensuring everyone has a voice. Secondarily, when we talk about inspiration, having a compelling vision that people will get on board and agree and realize that there's value in where we're going in the Charlottesville Fire Department. And third, individual consideration, being considerate of everyone's needs and really acknowledging everyone's need and realizing that everyone has a voice. And finally, that intellectual stimulation that's necessary to transform an organization and move forward in the city. Thank you for your question.
And want to invite any of our other participants today to join us. Next, we've got Andrew Webb from NBC 29. Andrew, you're on. Go ahead.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Dr. Smith. Welcome, first of all. On a personal level, what made Charlottesville, coming from Orlando, what was the interest in Charlottesville for you and your family?
Well, coming from a metropolitan-based system in Central Florida, interagency collaborations, for example, is essential. And Charlottesville Fire Department is set up in such a way that there's a need for continued collaboration between the various stakeholders. Albemarle County, also CARS, who's been involved for a number of years. So I think Charlottesville provides that unique opportunity. And one of the things I must mention, as an immigrant from Jamaica, the spirits of many heroes are within me. And the spirit of selflessness, a sense of responsibility to the fire service as a profession, and also the duty to serve others, the inner belief that my calling is higher than myself. So as the Bible says, lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. After meeting with local stakeholders, participating in the interview process and talking with the mayor, Mayor Walker, Councilor Hill, the police chief, Dr. Brackney, and many others, and reading about the culture and the history, the rich history of Charlottesville, I felt that the department was a good fit at this time in my career. So I'm happy to be here.
Andrew, did you have another question?
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Great. And anyone else? We'll go back to the daily progress and Nolan Stout. Go ahead, Nolan.
You mentioned that you're originally from Jamaica. I was going to ask, what was your hometown, and when did you first come to the country?
Great. I came to the United States in 1982. My parents retired. My mother retired from the military, from the government. My father was a pastor. And I moved to Orlando in 1982, and I joined the United States Air Force in 1988. That's where my profession began in emergency services.
Nolan, anything further?
Yeah, just what was your hometown in Jamaica?
I don't follow. You said, what was my hometown?
Yeah, in Jamaica.
Yeah, I was born in Lucy, Hanover, and spent a lot of time in Montego Bay.
Great. And next we'll go to Desiree. Desiree, go ahead.
Hi, I have one more quick follow-up question. So Dr. Smith, just from my own experience being born and raised in Orlando, I've seen, the impacts and stuff and, high level of services done in, that area. What lessons from Orlando do you want to take with you to Charlottesville for the fire department here?
I think learning from the past is a very critical thing for growth. Understanding where you've been, where you're going, and having a vision, ensuring that there's alignment with that vision prior to execution. So a number of lessons have been learned over my number of years being in Orlando. But I must say that together, we will work collectively with the private ambulance provider there in Charlottesville. We'll work with Chief Eggleston and his team from Albemarle County, and we'll continue to support the service needs of the University of Virginia.
Thank you.
Great. Well, one last call here for any final questions. We appreciate you all tuning in today to help welcome Dr. Smith. And we look forward to him joining the team December 1st here in the city of Charlottesville. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to contact me and I'll be glad to get answers to those questions. Mr. Blair, did you have any final remarks?
Just briefly, I again want to welcome Dr. Smith. I think he's going to be an excellent addition to our city and our community. And I'd also like to thank all 5 members of the media for coming out today and being a part of that same community. And it's always great to have an opportunity to talk about some issues and for you to get to know candidates and appointees. And we're just appreciative of our local media.
Excellent. Thank you everybody for tuning in and I hope you have a good afternoon.
Good afternoon.